Hi folks, Matt Easton, scholagladiatoria. So years ago I developed what we call gymnasium saber, or practice fencing military saber, with Peter Regenyei, and that was the first kind of attempt I did at trying to make a saber that was right for our training, that is for British military saber. Over time we became less happy with that model. We wanted some changes to it, and Peter was limited in the changes that he was able to make. And since then, in fact, the model of the Easton saber that he used to make is currently not in production. I believe it's going to come back into production, but it's currently not in production because of issues he had with the person making the hilts, I believe. Anyway, so I subsequently moved on to working with the Night Shop, or the HEMA Shop, same company, in their Red Dragon range, and produced another Easton saber, the Easton Saber Mark 1, number 1, and that was a really good saber. We were really happy with that, and in fact I still fence. If you see videos of me fencing with a military saber, gymnasium saber, that's what I still use, and in fact the one that I use is the prototype, and it's still in use. It's never bent, it's never broken, I never had any issues whatsoever with it. It has been fantastic, and it's a really nice saber, and everyone agrees it handles nicely and so on and so forth. It is slowly getting worn away and will need to be replaced fairly soon. However, it's been through several tournaments, it's been used in several different countries, it's won a tournament in America, it's won a tournament in Britain, so it's had some pretty hard use, as well as training once or twice a week, week in, week out, for a few years now. Not sure how many years, 2 years, 3 years. So that saber has seen a lot of use, and unfortunately though, its progeny, the actual production run of sabers that came out from that, didn't have the quality control that we were looking for. Some of them were fantastic and are still going strong. There's some still in use in my club and all over the world. And unfortunately some of them, the heat treatment wasn't very good on the blades. And so it's known that a batch went out to Swordfish, for example, was sent out to Swordfish, and they didn't fare very well. I think mostly they were too soft and they bent too easily. And this is a problem I've seen on a couple of examples in my own club as well. I do understand that some others were too brittle and broke. Now obviously this is not something you want from a sword. You want it to be reliable, and you want the quality control to be there. And so the HEMA Shop did the right thing, I think, and they pulled the plug on production with that manufacturer. Now the HEMA Shop are not manufacturers for the most part. They do manufacture the nylon swords, but as far as the steel swords are concerned, they contract the work to manufacturers. And in this case, the manufacturers were not meeting the quality control requirements that we looked for, and so they made absolutely the right decision and they pulled the plug. However, this has left us in a position in the last year to 2 years where we haven't really had a reliable, or what I feel a recommendable source for practice sabers, for gymnasium sabers. You can still get sabers from Peter Regenyei, and they are good sabers. We have many in my club. However, they're not exactly what we would seek in a gymnasium saber. There are certain aspects of them that we don't really personally like very much, and in addition, a lot of the time you have to deal with, considerable weight to get the saber from Peter Regenyei at the moment, although I understand he's taken on more staff and that may be changing, and some people do hold stock of his equipment. So I'm not unrecommending Regenyei Armoury at all. Regenyei Armoury's sabers are fine and good, they're just not exactly what we're looking for, and I have always felt that there are better design elements that we can bring to a gymnasium saber, but I could never find the manufacturer who was either able or willing to bring those to fruition. In recent months, in fact in the last year really, I've been working with who shall for now remain unnamed, because I want it to stay kind of, I don't want to give too much information away at this stage because it's still in development, but I have been working with people to develop a new gymnasium saber based more closely on my original vision of what we want from a gymnasium saber. And I point out that this is what we always wanted all along for British military saber, but I couldn't get Peter Regenyei or any other manufacturers to make what we wanted. They either weren't able to, or they said it would cost too much, or it was too difficult, or whatever. They didn't have the right machines. But we're also looking, of course, to make sure that the quality is there. It's not just about making something that looks and weighs and feels right, it's about something that performs right as well. And it's really difficult to do that in the modern world, because if you're trying to keep costs down and you're sending work out to a factory that might be a long way away, it's very difficult to ensure that the quality is going to be there. But hopefully we're moving towards that. And I do currently, in my hand, below this screen, have the prototype of the sword that we are working on. And so far, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to flash it past the screen. There we go. And that is your first preview of the sword. And it has got the blade that I've been trying to get for years now. The hilt is lovely. It has all of the things in a hilt that I have been looking for personally. In terms of weight and feel and flex and safety and everything else, it seems to be absolutely spot on. I'm currently in the process of fine-tuning certain little details about it, and I'm literally going to be, for the first time tonight, testing this sword in one of my clubs, in the Woking Club, and then on Tuesday in the London Club. And we will see what happens. But the great news is that a new Easton Sabre is on the way. It's the Easton Sabre number 2, and it is a huge improvement and step up from what went before. And also, of course, hopefully we will ensure that the quality is there as well as the physical characteristics. But in terms purely of the physical characteristics at this point, the sword is, it's a generation ahead of what went before, and I'm really I've been really surprised actually with how well the company I'm working with has got it, has done it this time. So I have great hopes for it. And one final thing to say about it, I understand that there are people out there who are doing different styles of saber, who are doing maybe later Italian, what some people call dueling saber styles, some people who are doing German saber, Swedish saber, French saber, and indeed I realise that there are people out there doing things like backsword who want a training weapon as well. If this saber turns out to be as good as I hope it will be, there will be I will be working on other swords using the same principles but to other designs. So we will hopefully be looking at other slightly different designs of saber and perhaps backsword that meet the requirements of other clubs and other styles. But that will be in the future, and these things take time. They take a long time to develop a product and test a product. Anyway, the good news is a new Easton Sabre is on its way. The old Red Dragon Sabre is dead and gone. That's not coming back. Peter Regenyei still makes sabers. If you want one right now, then Peter Regenyei is your recommended supplier. But I have great hopes for this new saber that's just in my hand here. Cheers, folks. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, follow us on Facebook. You can buy t-shirts through Spreadshirt, support us on Patreon, or follow us on Pinterest. Thank you.